welcome to National Khabar. I'm Shweta Ranjan on the occasion of 74th Independence Day. Prime Minister Narendra Modi, in his address to the nation, said that newly introduced national education policy seeks to strengthen research and innovation in the country to help it progress in a competitive world. The national education policy replaces the 34-year-old national policy on education framed in 1986. The aim is to make India a global knowledge superpower. But most of us have ambiguities on the issue. How the entire thing will come into action? What kind of changes will be included? How will it affect our children's academic session? So here is the interactive session for you with a well-known educationist to clear your doubts and answer your queries. So welcoming Ms. ANITA Malhotra, Delhi State and CBSE National Awardee, Director Principal, Lotus Valley International School, Gurugram, to our show. Welcome to the show, ma'am.
Thank you, Shweta.
It's so nice to have you here on the show today with us.
Thank you so much, Shweta, for giving this opportunity. Yes, a national education policy that has been announced revamps the country's approach to educating its future generations.
Right.
It departs from the old colonial approach of attaining degrees to flatter and instead walks a new course with the motivation of helping every child understand their purpose of life. It also ventures towards merging Western education with Indian culture and wisdom to form a wholesome curriculum.
So, of course, my first question was, we'll be talking about the highlights, but my first question was going to be on your take on this policy, which is newly introduced. So now we know that you're quite positive about it and you look forward to it changing the entire system of education. So
yes, it's a very positive step and it's a very path-breaking kind of a policy. Shweta, for your knowledge and everybody's knowledge, I'm sure you're all aware of it. The first education policy came up in the year 1968. And the second one came up in the year 1986, as you said. And the third one came up after 34 years in 2020.
Right.
And it's a new leaf has been turned for the Indian education system with the release of this national education policy. It's a very positive initiative in the right direction, and it was long overdue, and it does have amazing features, and I'm sure it will pave way for India to be a superpower, and that's what the dream of our Prime Minister is.
So what, according to you, is the biggest highlight? If you could talk about that first. And ma'am, before we take your view on this, I would like to tell the viewers to keep writing their queries if they have any, because this session has specially been arranged for that only. And there are already so many viewers. I wish I could involve and take everyone's name. I would try to do that gradually. But let's know about the highlight of the entire national education policy as per you.
You want to know about one highlight, or you want to know about
there are
many highlights?
Right, there are many.
Pardon?
There are many. There are many. But,
there are many. Yeah. So let me give you a brief. You see, as per the CBSE is a very progressive and a robust national board. So as per the national education policy, the 10+2 education system, which was made under the banner of CBSE, and a new pattern as per the national education policy has come up, and it says that it's a 5+3+3+4 year program, which makes a total of 15 years, which means 3 years before grade 1 have also been brought under the umbrella of CBSE and NCERT, which was not the case earlier. So first 5 years are the most important years in a child's life. They are the foundational learning years. Early childhood and care education starting from pre-nursery, nursery prep 1 and 2. The following 3 years, that is grades 3, 4, and 5, are the primary years. These are the future readiness classes. And the following 3 years, the middle years, comprising of 6th, 7th, and 8th, where higher degree of pedagogical teaching would happen. And the last 4 years, comprising of ninth, 10th, 11th, and 12th, are the high school years. As per national education policy, a lot of emphasis will now be laid on the first 5 years, which is a very positive step because early childhood and care education was earlier not getting that kind of an importance that it should have got. You know, most active teaching learning period in a child's life are these 5 years are the most important ones. And research has proved that 85% of the child's brain gets developed in these years. Shweta, generally play schools and all do not have any framework or pattern to follow. Now these grades will come under the ambit of CBSE, and NCRT will design a proper framework in the domains of physical and motor development, cognitive development, social and emotional and ethical development, cognitive development, artistic development, cultural development within the early years of education, teaching through playway, integrating art, dance, music. However, planning and implementation has to be seen. National education policy lays a lot of emphasis on learning outcomes and not the content, which is a very positive step, and also thrust on experiential learning, which is hands on learning. This means that content is not as important what the child learns out of that content. Child's comprehension and communication matters the most. So, this also rules out the concept of rote learning, which means rote learning will be replaced by real understanding and application. And this, for sure, will lead way to the wholesome personality development of a child. Children learn by doing, children learn by experimenting, children learn by exploring and experiencing. First hand experience is the best experience. A lot of emphasis has been laid on three H's: the head, the heart, and the hand. Doing things with your head, heart, and hand. This is a strong, strong emphasis on integrating art, music, dance, and sports education. Interdisciplinary curriculum will have a greater meaning, a greater relevance. Major pedagogical change is happening. The pedagogy will emphasize on storytelling, anecdotes, nice, lively classrooms. So, teaching now would shift into the competency based teaching and learning, which will be much more joyful, happier than ever before. Learning outcomes will be measured accordingly so as to achieve the desired goals. Shweta, I must tell you, the aim and objective of education will not just be about the content delivery and knowledge, but definitely character building, fine tuning of the 21st century skills, especially those of communication, comprehension, collaboration, creative thinking, critical thinking, citizenship skills, computing and character building skills, the 7 C's which I often talk about. This would mean that the curriculum would be reduced and there'll be greater learning. As of now, there's loads of curriculum, child does not know how to think. He's just being forced what to think.
Exactly. So, ma'am, in simpler terms, can we say that the NEP will deconstruct the centuries old pattern of education and reconstruct the new path to education? Is it going to be viewed upon like this?
Absolutely, absolutely. Because you see, as per the national education policy, a lot of stress and focus is going to be on critical thinking, creativity, problem solving, analytical skills, logical thinking. And these are very important skill sets, you see, for which newer pedagogical ways of teaching have to be adopted. For this, teachers will have to upgrade themselves, upskill themselves. Um, Various teacher training programs are being held, capacity building programs are being organized by CBSE, but now 50 hours of teacher training has become mandatory. Every teacher will have to undergo a 50-hour of mandatory teacher training, and it's going to be much more intensive than before.
So many people are having the feeling that then 10th and 12th boards will disappear. And will it be? And can you take up this question? And we have Vikas Bola also writing a question. We'll be taking up that. But before that, can we take this one, 10th and 12th boards question?
Of course, of course. It might upset many. Boards are here to stay. Boards are here to stay. 10th and 12th boards are here to stay. I'm reiterating. Yes, NEP also recommends standardized tests for grade 3, grade 5, and grade 8. So one has to see now how it is going to be carried out, how it's going to be implemented, and it is looking at achieving it by the year 2023.
And we have a question from Vikas Bola. He writes, will this new policy lead towards the paperless education system? Will kids go away with the bag burden?
Yes, there is another exciting, um, uh, a very exciting component of the national education policy, and that is the
Yes.
bagless days.
Yes.
Okay, so the bagless days are going to be very exciting for the kids, because as per the national education policy, it's mandatory for every child to undergo a 10-day internship program. And this internship program will be on vocational education, where the CBSE is, sorry, NEP is laying a lot of emphasis on children doing things with their own hands, children experiencing things, children exploring, children researching, and learning various skill sets. So, those 10 days of bagless days would be that children will be doing their internship, and there wouldn't be any burden of academics
So
in
from which
those
class
days.
it will start, ma'am? Bagless days. Which grade onwards it will start?
Grade 1 onwards.
Oh,
you,
brilliant.
you see, uh, it's mandatory for every child to undergo vocational education from 6th upwards. But I'm happy to say that we have our, we don't call it vocational, but we call it as work education. And work education is happening in our school at Lotus Valley from grade 2 upwards,
Onwards.
where children are doing things with their own hands, and they are learning various skill sets, because actually it is, these skill sets will live with the child forever, and they'll be of great use uh, wherever they go
So
at any point of time.
one of the biggest highlight which was taken up by all the news channels and media and highlighted a lot was the major subject and the minor subject. So from which grade onwards will that happen, and how is it going to help the children passing out from school and going into colleges? How will the entire thing happen?
You see, majors and minors have yet to come up. It is there in the policy. Policy does talk about, and not only in this policy, it was talked about it much earlier, but somehow it did not come up. yes, now we are looking at it coming up, and I'm sure it'll bring about a great paradigm, change. And also, you see, in the college education, uh, the university education, where uh, it is mandatory for every child to undergo a 3-year degree course. As per this, as per the new education policy, the first year, if a child clears, child will get a certificate and credits. Second year, if the child clears and does not want to do the third year, he will get the diploma along with the credits, and the credits will remain reserved with the university. And at any point of time, when a child wishes to do the third year and wants the degree, then he'll have to clear the third year and then take up the degree. CBSE is bringing up a lot of flexibility. For your knowledge, at the moment, CBSE is offering 196 subjects, 196 subjects, but there is a degree of rigidity. There is a degree of rigidity. So, in order to, as per the new education policy, there'll be a lot of flexibility. Child can is will be free to choose from whichever stream he wishes to. Even if a child has taken up physics and maths and he wants to do music with it, he'll be free to do it. So currently, that flexibility is not there, but I'm sure with new years, as per the new education policy, there'll be much more flexibility than before.
Yeah, so we have a quick question from Dushyant Gupta, and he writes, is the emphasis going to be on a specific language like English, or focus will be on national languages? Any thoughts, please?
You see, there is a talk in the NEP about multilingualism,
Yes,
isn't it?
expensive,
Multilingualism,
unique features.
unique features. So the thing is that, as per the national education policy, child will be able to learn the subject in any language, in any language. There is a suggestion that wherever possible, the medium of instruction should be mother tongue or local language till grade 5, or possibly till grade 8. Like, for instance, if it is in Chennai, Chennai can take up Tamil as a medium of instruction, or in Punjab, it can be Gurmukhi. If in Bangalore, it can be Kannada. There are plans to make textbooks
Ma'am,
in
one question which remains is, it's definitely one of the most exciting idea, as pedagogical research has established beyond doubt that children learn best if they learn in their mother tongue in the
Yeah.
primary classes. But how will it tackle the cosmopolitan cities where children come from different states, and there's no particular language for all children in the class?
So this is what I was just coming to, that cosmopolitan cities, they would be children of multiple languages in a particular class, and therefore it might not be possible, in which case some flexibility would be given. But within the states, if a child wishes to be taught science or social studies or mathematics for that matter in their local language, that provision has now been made. So which is another very positive step, making provision for the child to learn a particular subject in the local language.
Right. So another question we have from Madhurani Singh, and she asks, is it also being viewed upon as a step to fix the long due problem of brain drain? Because even Prime Minister Narendra Modi yesterday in his address said that it is going to make the children, the students, future ready. So the question comes from Madhurani Singh on brain drain.
So Madhurani, yes, absolutely. I rote learning has to be replaced and will be replaced by real understanding and application. Until and unless a child is able to understand properly and apply in day to day life, um, that learning is not learning, and it will not lead to the wholesome development of the child. In order to ensure that the child develops in a wholesome manner, and in a holistic development takes place, that can happen only when a child understands the real life situations and applies whatever he understands in the real life. And it's important that we produce children, thinking individuals, rather than producing puppets. As I said earlier, we should not teach the children what to think. We must teach the children how to think. So we want children with thinking hats on. And I'm sure, you see, if the pedagogies change, we will be able to produce thinking individuals. And lot of emphasis is being laid on skill sets, developing skill sets through skill education.
Right, ma'am. We have another question from Shagun Singh Rathi. Madam, what grade onwards will children get the option to choose their subjects?
That will come from grade ninth only,
Okay.
in the high school years, because in the initial years it's very important child is exposed to various subjects, and so as to understand where the child's interest lies. So when we talk about the middle school years, these are the years where subject oriented, pedagogical, and curricular style teaching will happen. And it is there when the child makes up his or her mind to make a choice of subjects from ninth upwards. But yes, um, more guidelines have yet to be received by the CBSE.
Nidhi Gupta has a question. Please, can you give us some idea on the timelines for implementation of the policy in schools?
I feel by 2025, that's what the NEP says, by 2025, we'll be able to achieve about 50%. And finally, by the year 2030, things should be in place.
Right. Another question we have from how will it impact students appearing for class 12th CBSE boards in 2021? Next year, parents are worried how it will affect their academic sessions and things in line.
It's not going to impact them, because whatever NEP has come up with, it's not going to be effective from immediate effect, isn't it? So children who are in their present grade 12th, who will be writing their boards in the year 2021, they will not be impacted. Yes, they'll be impacted in a manner where their 30% of their syllabi has been reduced, and then they are, you know, in the midst of this catastrophe that the whole world
What
is
is
in. That is the saddest part. But I'm sure children have taken in the right spirit, and parents are taking care of their mental and emotional well-being.
So one question from me, being a parent from your school, actually, you have spoken about art integration and education to be included, and a lot of focus is going to be on that. But Lotus Valley, since it has been promoting art and work ed and sports, what differences we are going to be seeing in your school as such, since it has already been doing that?
Uh, you see, Sweta, since long, you see, even much before the national education policy came up, we have been talking about the interdisciplinary approach, the transdisciplinary approach, and bringing in, joyful learning experience for the children, and integration of life skills along with knowledge. So, if social studies is being taught, for that matter, why cannot it be integrated into art? Or why can't art come into the classroom and subject teaching? Likewise, music and dance, cannot it be amalgamated with the subject mathematics? Shweta, I'll tell you very honestly, when my own son, which I often talk about, my own son, who is an orthopedic surgeon in England, and you won't believe he gave his boards along with music.
Oh, wow.
He felt that was a big learning and a turning point in my approach to thinking, my way of thinking. And he felt that music gives him rhythm and increases concentration, which is such a valid thing. So, if music is brought into the classroom teaching, it'll be such a joyful experience for the children, and the concentration level increases. Children are, that self-paced learning comes in, that purposeful learning comes in, subject becomes more interesting. Now all this is in the hands of the teacher. Shweta, coming back to your question, how is Lotus Valley going to do? You won't believe that we've started working on our curriculum most seriously, and you will wait and watch in the new academic session the kind of changes that are brought in. It will
Yes,
be totally a cross cultural curriculum, it will be totally a interdisciplinary curriculum in the truest sense and spirit, and I'm sure children will enjoy and parents will also enjoy.
definitely, ma'am. So post lockdown, we are going to have a complete new experience maybe when the children return to their schools. So we have one question from Ruchi Narula, which seems like a very similar question which I just asked. Good afternoon. Small quick question, please. Do we see much impact on this new policy on progressive schools like Lotus Valley, or is it primarily focused on pulling up the government schools at par with progressive schools? Your thoughts, please.
I agree with you, my dear. I really agree with you. Yes, it is pulling up of government schools, bringing them at par, because it's a nationwide kind of a thing. So government is looking at bringing the government schools, enhancing and up leveling their standards. Lotus Valley is a very progressive school. Most of the things we have in place, when I had a meeting with my staff and we spoke about the national education policy, and my teacher said, ma'am, most of the things we are doing, most of the things we are doing, it is happening. Yes, we have to further firm up wherever we feel there is a degree of rote learning that is happening, that needs to be checked. And yes, Lotus Valley is all about maintaining a fine balance between activities, academics. So once when both are amalgamated, I'm sure the learning is going to be very joyous learning, a great, what shall I say, happy learning, and children will be on high on happy quotient, happiness quotient. Thank you.
Right, ma'am. So let me include another question from Saurabh Sharma. Good afternoon, madam. Is there a plan to include personal finance, practical use in life as a formal subject in curriculum?
Sorry, I couldn't. Can you repeat the question?
Is there a plan to include personal finance, practical use in life as a formal subject in curriculum?
Financial literacy is a subject, and you won't believe, we have been teaching in our school, but there have not been many takers, you see. uh, Parents do have a mindset on vocational education. Initially it was not taken very nicely. Even today, when we introduce certain vocational subjects, there weren't many takers for that. But I'm sure with the new approach, with the new change, it'll gain importance and much relevance. I'll give you a personal experience. I was in Australia a couple of years ago. When I had first time when I'd gone to Australia, we stayed with an Australian family, and All of a sudden, a boy comes in, and with all, a kind of a Friday man kind of thing, where tools hanging out of various top pockets. And I asked Felicity Giles, the host, with whom we were staying, and she said, well, with great pride, she says, "Oh, meet my son. He's the most talented boy on this earth." And then I was like absolutely in awe, and I was waiting what she would say after this. Well, he is the best earning member in our family, and he's so creative, I can't tell you, Anita. Then I understood that he's a plumber. You see, if that kind of a setup, it was in India, that kind of setup wouldn't have worked. Indian parent would have said, "Go hide yourself, don't come in front of the guests."
Right.
But I am sure very soon the mindset of parents will change, and there's going to be a new India, because these skill sets are very, very important. As per the new education policy, every child must learn these skill sets.
Right.
Whether it is plumbing, vocational education is all about that. Whether it is carpentry,
Or not.
whether it is whatever. Today, even if we have to fix a peg, we depend upon others. Why
Right.
can't we do it ourselves? Had we learned these skill sets in the beginning at an early age, it would have been so good. Now, when I compare, my grandson goes to a school in England, a very high end school. You won't believe, dignity of labor is taught to them, what dignity of labor is. Then they are taught how to fix the peg, how to bake cookies, to be self dependent, to have respect for your own self, to self learn, to self discipline. These are the skill sets which must be taught at a very, very early age. And this is what national education policy talks about.
So, on a similar line, which you're just mentioning, we have a question from Kritika Chabra Banerjee. She asks, Ma'am, in the new education policy, is there a provision to include subjects which teach them life skills, like how to budget, how to cook, and things which we used to call home science in the older times?
Of
So,
course, of course, of course. Very important. These are, as I said, these skills are very, very important, and I'm sure it's all going to come back. Slowly, slowly, I think we're all going to go back to our basics. Also, here I would like to say, dear parents, it's very important to teach your child value of labor. When I ask parents to send a piece of rag from home so that children can clean their own desk and chair, I get a reply saying, "अच्छा तो अब ये हमारे बच्चों से अब सफाई कराएंगे, मेड्स का काम कराएंगे." So this kind of a mindset should not be there. One should be open, because these are the skill sets which have to be taught at a very, very early age, and parents should value and respect that.
right. So, we have a question from Arjita Chauhan. Ma'am, so I have a question for the teachers. The students are impacted, but I feel the teachers have had it toughest. It is not easy to take the whole concept of classroom teaching and discipline online. So, how are they coping with the stress? With the stress of running online classes?
Well, I can say that they were very stressed out in the month of April when we had just begun, because nobody was prepared. Nobody was prepared to handle online classes. Teacher training was the key issue, which happened beautifully. Teachers took it in their right stride. That's why I say they are the miracle makers. They are the true warriors who have kept education going on, learning going on, and there has been no lockdown to learning whatsoever, all thanks to the teachers. And yes, for this, I must thank the parents also for taking it nicely, and more so, the learners who took it so beautifully, and now they are using all sorts of apps. They are making their own presentations. It's such a beautiful learning for everybody. So they have, I think, taken very well to the digital, life. It is there. There is a lot of pressure indeed on teachers, because I see them work right from morning till night,
Yeah.
and likewise, it's for me also from morning till night.
And,
So, but you see, there is joy. There is joy, and no teacher can do justice until unless she is passionate. So, teachers are passionate. It's very important to be passionate.
no, you are booked even on a Sunday to interact with parents and share your ideas. We have,
Oh,
the Rani. How will it impact students receiving primary education abroad and returning in fifth or sixth grade?
uh, impact in what sense? Sorry.
Uh, if the students are currently receiving primary education abroad and they return in fifth or sixth grade back to India,
You see, it depends upon which country they are coming from. But I feel that primary education all over, be it Singapore, be it England, be it Finland, it's just fabulous. So children have learned those qualities, as I said, of self discipline, self learning, self love, self respect. All these skill sets children have already learned, and I find no reason why should they not be able to adjust here. And you see, Lotus Valley, as I mean, I can give you my example where children come from all parts of the world, and they're doing fabulously well. I've seen a family where the whole family relocated from England, and they both are doctors. And both children, now one girl has passed out class 12th and is joining university, and the boy is in the has just stepped into 11th, and has done so brilliantly well in the board exams. And they came to me in fifth and sixth. Likewise, there are many success stories. I don't think you should have any apprehensions. We often, you see, underestimate children, but I see no reason why should we be underestimating children. Children get adjusted very fast, very easily. It's only the adults who have adulterated minds, and they have problems in settling down. But children never have any problems.
right. Ma'am, we have a question from Garima Madan Kurana. What impact do we see for the students who would pursue education in foreign universities post 12th grade?
You see, as I said, CBSC is a very robust national board, the largest board. And the kind of education that it provides is just too fabulous. I have yet to see any CBSE pass out not doing well anywhere. CBSE pass outs you will see in all parts of the world. And I have been a witness to it. They're hardworking. So one thing where CBSE teaches its children to work hard. They're hardworking. Only thing that they lack is the team spirit. Working together as a team is somewhere where which our children lack. So I'm sure, as per the the national education policy and the new pedagogical ways of teaching, where there'll be more of research, there'll be more of collaboration, there'll be more of togetherness. Children will learn to work together as a team. But never underestimate the CBSE board. It's big revolution that is going to come up, and I'm sure, as I said in the beginning, India will be the superpower.
Right. We have Shamalika Lal. Shamalika Lal. Madam, will the choice of subjects applicable for students appearing 10th board in 2021?
Yeah, guidelines, we've yet to receive the guidelines. We've yet to receive the guidelines, but yes, certain guidelines are being prepared at the CBSE end. And as soon as we receive, we will make it open.
And Vivek Saxena asks, ma'am, my daughter is in grade 7. Now, will she be able to choose her subjects in grade 9?
Um,
Will it be that quick?
not not now, probably next year. So no immediate change will happen. 2021 is all done. Now we are all, in this special situation. Uh, Little changes here and there are happening in the curriculum, but yes, whatever changes will happen will start to happen from the next academic session.
Manju Pandey asks, ma'am, what impact the NEP will have on engineering entrance in year 2022? So, for such entrance exams, how will it be
you
handled?
know we have a national testing agency. We have a national testing agency which is under the banner of Ministry of HRD. The common entrance exams will happen, and that will continue to happen the way it is happening.
Right, ma'am. We have Sandeep Gosai. He has a question. Good afternoon, madam. Is there any clarity of phases of implementation of policy? Will it be in a staggered manner, phased manner? And
Yeah,
here,
good afternoon, Sandeep. It will happen in a staggered manner. Certain things will be achieved by 2023, certain vocational education by 2025, and others by 2030. By 2030, I think we will be able to achieve.
so in a way, do you think, ma'am, the entire thing will help in gross enrollment ratio as well?
Of course, learning for all. As per the national education policy, it states learning for all, where there is inclusive education, there is equitable in education, there's a lot of focus on the socio-economic, economically disadvantaged group. So it's, as I said, government is aiming to bring everybody at par with each other, uplifting the government schools. And you see, when there will be fun learning in the school, when there'll be happiness all around, when there'll be joy, when there'll be teachers will teach in an interesting manner, why should the enrollment not be there? There'll be 100% enrollment. And that is what the government is looking at. By the year 2030, there'll be 100% enrollment.
Right, ma'am. So you mentioned that by year 2025, success will be achieved in this direction. So
Yes.
what will be the
But
parameters?
for this, Shweta, let me tell you, for this, everybody has to collaborate.
Right.
You have to collaborate for it to be a success. So everybody puts in the right kind of efforts, 101% we will succeed.
So, what will be the parameters to gauge the success? How will we know that we have achieved the success in this regard?
Because learning outcomes are a must. Learning outcomes will be measured, and I'm sure we'll be receiving the guidelines for the same.
Right, ma'am. So, what a brilliant insight we had with you on the show today. And
Yeah.
I am going to tell the viewers about the show that we are going to have today evening with Dr. Masoor Manjunath, who is a very, very renowned violinist. You can connect with him if you are a music lover at 7 p.m. on National Khabar. And do like the page, subscribe, because such brilliant interactions we have for you almost daily. So, Anita, ma'am, you
Yes,
have
Shweta?
say to the viewers, there's so many people who have joined and were listening to you and were full of praises for the teachers as well, for the school.
Yes.
Anything that you have got to say?
Shweta, I will tell you one thing, that for me, children are the priority. Change is the reality, and collaboration is the strategy.
Good.
Just to sum up everything, I'll repeat: children are the priority, change is the reality, and collaboration is the strategy. And I'm sure we will achieve great success. The country will achieve great success.
So I'm sure the idea of collaboration replaces the concept of competition soon.
Yes, absolutely.
But there are so many viewers writing the questions that we have already taken up earlier. So you can watch the entire interview. It will be available on the page as well as on the YouTube. You can watch and know more about it. Anita ma'am, thanks so much for coming on the show.
Thank you, Shweta, for organizing this. Always a pleasure and anything for you.
Thank you so much, ma'am.
Thank you. God bless you.
Thank you. So that's all for today. In the evening, we meet again at 7 o'clock with Dr. Masoor Manjunath, a renowned violinist. Till then, take care. Bye-bye. See you.